Hello friends, welcome back to my channel again. In this video, we are going to talk about what is AWS Cloud and its associated basic information. If you are interested in this video, please stick around until end of the video. You will get the basic idea about what is AWS Cloud, what are the benefits we have, what are the types of cloud services that the AWS offers. Those kind of information we are going to learn it very quickly. If you are watching my channel very first time, please don't forget to subscribe my channel so that any new videos that I will post in the future, it will get notified as a suggestion for you. What is cloud computing? See, actually cloud computing is a on-demand delivery of IT resources. So what does it mean? When you have your IT infrastructure in on-prem, you will have to procure the hardwares and the data center space and then power and all the required equipments and setting up the racks, everything you need to do from top to bottom or bottom to top, whatever you can say. But in cloud computing model, you don't need to do any sort of the physical setup of what you need to establish your IT infrastructure, wherein which you can just start to use your on-demand delivery of IT resources over the internet and with pay as you go pricing model, meaning you don't need to pay upfront any money as a higher amount, and from when you start to use the IT resources and from when you will end, until that time frame alone you can pay for it. So that's a fantastic opportunity or usage, right? Because you don't need to care about what you wanted to set up as a hardware infrastructure and physical infrastructure and as a backend need. So you can just go ahead and spin up in the instances whatever you need, and you can only pay for what you use for that time frame. So in this way, you do not need to buy the hardwares, softwares. You do not need to own the data center or any hardwares that are required to set up the IT resources, and you don't need to maintain any physical data centers and servers. So you can access the technology services such as cloud computing, power, storage, and databases, or plenty of other resources and services that are offered by AWS anytime you want, right? So there are some benefits we are going to quickly walk through and see. First one is agility. What is agile? So agile is a methodology that IT industry is following now in everywhere, software and IT infrastructure also. So you have the cloud. The cloud actually gives easy access to broad range of technologies so that you can innovate faster and build nearly anything that you can imagine, right? So which means you need a compute or storage or database or internet of things, you can build it as quickly as you can. So which means you will get agile methodology to bring up the resources whenever you want, and you can deploy the resources within minutes. So that's called go global in minutes. So that's the terminology that the AWS tells from their side. So any service you take, you can deploy the technology services matter of minutes, and you can get you will do not need to have broader knowledge around it. You can just learn the basics of those specific services, and you can do implement that specific service what you wanted to implement. So it's entirely agile methodology that AWS is offering for all of the services that they are providing to us. Elasticity. So this is, I would say, a fantastic method or feature that we are getting out of AWS. Why? Let's say you are building a server in a cloud, and you don't want to over provision the server at a very first level itself. You might be a I mean small entrepreneur who is running up an application, I mean e-commerce application in online internet, and you will see hike in the usage in the specific month of, for example, you might have heard a bill, I mean big billion day that is offered by uh, AWS again, and some Flipkart or even Amazon e-commerce services also, they provide some um, I mean specific deals for specific dates and timing. And likewise, if you run a application, web application, and which you think you will have specific day of increase in the system resources or computing resources, you can only think about increasing the I mean system resources for the specific period of time, meaning of 1 week, 1 month, or 2 months. That period alone you can look to specifically increase the system resources. That's called elasticity. So you have your own control to build a server and increase the server's capacity, like memory, CPU, those kind of system resources can be increased automatically. It's not something manual. Automatically, you can provision that resources as a through using auto scaling method, and it will automatically bump up those resources for the specific period alone, and you can reduce that capacity whenever you don't think you are using much. So that's a fantastic feature, isn't it? That's called elasticity. And with two options what we have seen, agility and elasticity itself, we can save a lot of money. Trust me. With the cloud is actually allowing you to trade your capital expenses, which is you need to procure data center space, physical servers, and power, and cooling, everything related to I mean capital expense. You don't need to worry about that, and you don't need to invest that. That's called you are trading that with variable expenses. What does it mean? You are only paying for the IT resource as much as you consume for it. The variable expenses are lower than what you think, and you would be pay to do it yourself because of economics of scale. What does it mean? So economies of scale is nothing but the resource or the hardware that was stood up for that specific service is going to be used by different people and multiple people at the same time, and you are one of the consumer for that for that specific service or specific hardware. So which means um, investment, and you are paying only for the specific time, right, for the period you are using. Likewise, the payment associated for that usage is actually calculated by multiple users, not for the specific users. So which means um, you will see a lot of reduction of a payment in terms of what you're supposed to pay, and in that way you are saving a lot of money. So this is the I mean thumb rule or theme that AWS has from their side. That's called deploy globally in minutes. So you take any service within AWS. They have over 200 plus services that they are offering as a readily available service in the cloud computing space. And any service you take with a minimum knowledge what you acquired, you can build and complete that service in minutes. That's called a deploy globally in minutes, and you can deploy the services whichever is closer to your end user. For example, you are part of India and your customer is actually located in northern region of America. That's called maybe like North America, Virginia region, and Amazon has their data center specifically built in that specific region. So, which means you can build the resources whichever is closer to your users. In that way, the accessibility to that service will be faster, easier, and but the users may not feel any slowness in the accessibility. So, you can deploy the service in minutes wherever in the world, and you can deploy the service which is closer to your user space also. So that's a fantastic feature that AWS has. Okay, now let's talk about the list of cloud computing. Okay, now let's see what are the types of cloud computing we have. Actually, there are three types of cloud computing we have in general. That's called IaaS, PaaS, and SaaS. Um, let's see what is IaaS first. Infrastructure as a service. So it contains the basic building blocks for cloud IT. So it is nothing but whatever you are building in the data center to enable the services for uh, your infrastructure or your customer, in order to build the web server, database server, or whatever the cloud computing resources you want. In order to build that, the infrastructure will be built first. So that's over here in on-premise, you will build that as a physical, and you will be able to control physically over the hardware, but over in cloud it is virtual, and though it is virtual, you are still be able to get console access to those specific infrastructure access, and you will be able to set up anything you want. So it could be a data storage space, or anything related to server infrastructure build. So that's called infrastructure as a service. So think about this. You are having a data center today, and you wanted to save some money. And when you move to AWS Cloud or any other cloud, you are still getting the data center in cloud as an infrastructure as a service. So that's the easy way to understand, right? You are building your own data center in the cloud instead of you putting all the investment in the physical infrastructure. So that's called the infrastructure as a service. So you see, when you are in on-site, you'll have to build the networking, storage, servers, virtualization, operating system, middleware, runtime, and then data and application on top of that. So everything you see in blue color, we have to manage everything, every single component. But when we move to cloud and build the infrastructure, um, provider, the in this case AWS provider is taking care of the networking necessary for building that communication and storage, servers, and virtualization. These four components are managed by the provider, and you are responsible to install any operating system you want to install for your servers that are allocated, and then middleware components, any middleware applications that you wanted to install, and runtime management, data and applications. This is called infrastructure as a service provided by AWS, right? So some example for infrastructure as a service, we know AWS, they are providing infrastructure as a service. Similarly, DigitalOcean, Linode, Rackspace, Cisco also has their own cloud service which is called Meta Cloud, and Microsoft Azure, and Google Computing Engine which is called GCE. So these are the different examples or infrastructure as a service components. Next one we are seeing platform as a service. What is platform as a service? So let's say you built the server as a by using infrastructure as a service. On top of that, you want to build a service which can be used for by a specific targeted users. So actually, PaaS removes the need for you to manage the underlying infrastructure. Remember, what is underlying infrastructure? That is called servers, operating system. So in the previous page, what we have seen, we are obligable to install the operating system and middleware, right? So in our PaaS, which is also going to be removed. That's called a pass service. So in the pass service, by removing that, you are only taking care and focus on the management of your applications alone. This will actually helps you to more efficiently manage your application rather than considering and managing your operating system, because when you have operating system you will have to manage the operating system like patch management, any software management, those kind of stuffs. But when you go for a PaaS service, you don't need to do anything related to underlying software, underlying hardware and then operating system. So any capacity planning related to software maintenance, patching, or any other undifferentiated heavy lifting components, you don't need to worry. So this is called a platform as a service. We have already seen this. You are only taking care of the data and applications. Runtime, operating system, middleware components, everything will be managed by AWS itself. Right? This is called PaaS, platform as a service. Next one, actually, for PaaS service, great example, Netflix. You are using that per service as a consumer over different devices, laptop, mobile, TV, everywhere you use it, you consume it, and you don't. I mean, if you are if you are uh, entertained to use a service which can be offered by a specific provider. In this case, Netflix is the provider, but they are using the platform service using by different cloud computing components like AWS or any other clouds also. So this is one of the great example for a platform as a service. The last one in the cloud computing type would be software as a service. What is software as a service? Platform as a service called any specific platform. You are obligable to manage the data and applications. What is software as a service? Software as a service which provides you with a complete product that is run and managed by the service provider. So the service provider over here would be AWS. In most of the cases, people referring to SaaS are referring to end user applications such as anything related to web based email. For example, Gmail. You are using the Gmail as a software as a service, and um, you don't need to worry about how it is built and how it is maintained and how it is and the life cycle management of emails. Those stuffs are happening, and any archiving methodology, you don't need to worry about it. You can just start to use that service as you go. So that is called software as a service, right? You don't need to manage anything from bottom up to the top. Everything is managed by the provider, and you are just a consumer, right? So this is called SaaS. So IaaS, you are applicable to manage operating system, middleware component, data and applications. PaaS, you are only taking care of data and applications, but SaaS, you don't need to worry about any of the components. You can just use the service. Okay, these are the three types of cloud computing. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you have any questions, please put the questions in the comment. I will be happy to answer for you. If you want any specific topic to be covered, please put that also in the comment section. I will be happy to talk about that specific topic also. Okay, friends, we will catch up in the next video. Thank you.